Good afternoon. This is Craig the Natural Medic. I am at Joshua Tree National Park in California. Birthday trip. Tomorrow's my birthday when I'm filming this. Let's take a look at where I'm at. On the panel here you see Intersection Rock. Intersection Rock was a kind of historical climbing spot. And then there it is ahead of us. Whoa. Isn't that crazy? The plan for right now is to head over to Hidden Valley Nature Trail. It's just a 1 mile walk through some rock formations. Supposed to be pretty cool. There was no parking over here, so I had to park over here by this rock and check out this cool Joshua Tree. Isn't that amazing? So if you want to see that, join up. Now you might be wondering why Joshua trees are called Joshua trees. That is because when Mormons first passed through here from the Utah Territory, headed to Los Angeles, they went through this area, they saw these trees that reminded them of Joshua praying. So if you can imagine in your mind, a man looking up to the sky and raising his hands in prayer. That's what the Joshua trees are supposed to look like. Pretty interesting. So this is the actual trailhead for Hidden Valley Nature Trail. Per the deal here, it is a 1 mile loop. It takes about an hour. It's easy, good width, and minimal elevation gain of only 100. But you can see how it goes through here. I am here, and we're going to go make a little loop here. And I had to park actually over here by Intersection Rock because this parking lot, as you can see, and you might experience it on your visit, is full. But what a beautiful view. Let's go on down the trail. So Peggy Larson, who's a naturalist, she says this is a mosaic of miniature worlds. Because of the way the rocks are stacked up in here, they block the wind, they collect moisture, and create a special microclimate. So let's go check it out. So the entrance that I came through, that you come through on this trail, was actually blasted open for cattle grazing. And this is what it looks like in this little valley here. Wow. Beautiful. We're in a transition zone here. You can see there's different trees over here. Not very many Joshua trees. And more oaks and other things, because this is a transition zone. Okay. Yucca was a minor food source for the native people. They did roast and eat the fruit pods. They used it for its most valuable use, which was leaf fibers, which used to weave mats, sandals, and then they got soap from the roots. There's a ton of people on this trail, but I'm going to be able to get a little bit of solitude. Look at all these crazy looking rocks. Man, amazing. You can still see some pinions over here and some oaks instead of the standard Joshua trees because of the climate in here. And hey, if you're liking this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see more great content. Now back to it. Of course, most other parks encourage you to stay on the trail. Here in Joshua Tree, they do encourage you to get out and explore the rocks and kick around on them and so forth. So I'm just doing that. Amazing rocks out here. So this formation in front of me is called the Great Burrito. And it's a world-class climbing spot here in Joshua Tree, but there are some issues with access and trampling vegetation and disturbing archaeological and nesting sites for birds. But they're trying to work together to form a balance. So really, when you're looking out here, you see all these cracks and crevices. They're all giant water collectors. There's the Great Burrito, as we just looked at. Just a little bit up the trail from that. But think about this as a huge bowl with cracks and crevices everywhere to collect water. This is a pretty common tree where I currently live, which is a pinyon pine. And this little panel here is talking about pinyon jays and how they relies heavily on pinyon and scrub jays for dispersal of their seeds. So they eat them, they move them around. Sometimes they carry them to nesting areas or catch them in the ground, and that helps propagate the species. So I'm up above the trail here, but you can kind of see, I'm gonna make a circle here. Everything around me. Isn't that neat? Well, we talked earlier about pinyons, and humans and pinyons have a pretty close relationship. The seeds were collected by the Native American Indians. The cones would be beaten off the trees with sticks, and they would roast those, and then they would have roasted nuts. Also, they used pitch from the pine for waterproofing, repairing broken pots, and of course the wood was good for cooking and heat and construction. And one of the oak species found in the area, it's called Muller's oak, or Quercus cornelius mullerii. One of the numerous oaks found in the Pinyon Belt, many desert ranges. So you find those with pinyon, juniper, other things, and you have lots of chipmunks that are gathering those nuts. As opposed to where I live, where we have a lot of predominant pinyon and juniper woodlands, there's thought to be remnants here. And as the climate here in the desert begins to develop, which they're estimating the Mojave is about 10,000 years old, the coniferous forest pretty much went, not all the way extinct, but became less prominent, and that's when the Joshua trees came in. So there's enough moisture in this valley, here in Hidden Valley, with a big bowl to sustain those. And of course, a good reminder, any desert hike, especially here in Joshua Tree, any time of the year, make sure that you plan ahead and you hike early in the morning so you don't get in extreme heat. I'm hiking this at midday, but it is April, so not a big deal. Bring plenty of water, electrolyte snacks, and drinks. Rest in the shade. Have sun protection. And of course, bring the 10 essentials, which are listed below. And of course, as I come out of Hidden Valley, there's some really cool rocks out there to look at. I'm gonna hike back now to the Split Rock, I believe it's called, and go back to my vehicle. So that was pretty much all of it for the hike today in Hidden Valley. Gonna go into another area now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up so we can get out to more people. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more great content like this. Going on to another one, and if you subscribe, you will definitely not miss it. Have a great day. Leave any questions or comments down below. Bye. See you on the trail.